Coach Novell talked about the steps the defense has been taking in the last few weeks. Can you just talk about that and also, in particular, the run defense as well?
Well, Antoine, we're just, there's been, I don't know, the biggest thing is we've been consistent being inconsistent. But we've had some players, at least the last two games, playing together for the first time over a course of a time. So that's part of it. Last week against NC State, I thought we did a better job for the most part in the run game. There was a lot less seams late in the game as things were getting a little bit towards the end. We let a few balls get out that didn't help it. But overall, I thought our effort was playing better up front, and I thought our fits were a little bit tighter.
Chris Nee from Knowles 247.
Coach Fuller, two quick questions. The pitch and catch to the middle of the field, why does that continue to be so easy for your opponent? And secondly, what's your philosophy on press coverage specific to the team you have at your disposal?
The pitch and catch on the third down?
In general, with just the success that Dare Thomas had to the middle of the field that NC State seemed to have with matching up with Gainer and then attacking open space.
Yeah. Well, sometimes when, Amari's out there over the slot, sometimes he's a run player, sometimes he's a pass player, sometimes he's a blitzer. A couple of those ones with Amari are just bang, bang plays and they're contested. There were some times that we're bringing, plus blitz and, usually on the plus blitz, the ball's going to get out in about 2 seconds. So you put your guys in position to play either the fade or the slant. And then there's screens that you got to be all rally to too. So, some of it is just guys that haven't been out there much and weren't ready for that moment, whatever, whether it was a good route, whatever it all was. But obviously we don't want to give up direct throws, especially in pressure situations. But for the most part, we'd like to be in press a good amount. And the boundary we're in a lot to the field, it's usually based off a split sometimes. Sometimes it's based off a matchup. Sometimes it's based off of coverage. Depends on what DBs you get out there and how it's all planned. But yeah, the more challenge we can make, the better we're gonna feel. We just got to be more consistent with when we're in that position to be confident enough to play the technique that is supposed to be being played.
Next will be Ira Schofel from War Chant.
I don't know if anybody on this call has been in a defensive meeting room or played even organized football at defensive back. Could you just help us in terms of like when a play is called and so the safety, is his responsibility based totally like, okay, this is the play call and so I need to do this, or is it more based on what he's seeing and reacting and how much of that is based on his experience level? And does that make sense what I'm asking? I think we understand like in an offensive play, like, okay, this is the route I'm supposed to run, or this is but on defense, since what they're doing in some cases is reacting, and what I'm speaking specifically about is, so on a play where it's third and goal or third and long, and if there's a blitz, but as observers we see the safety not come up, and they are able to complete a pass. Is that based on him and his knowledge of the overall situation, or there's a call made and he's supposed to know to expect that?
The second half makes it a little bit more sense, Ira. Sometimes when I'm in coverage, especially with the safety, and there's a blitzer in front of me, there's usually a leverage that you have to take, right? You're either going to be inside or outside leverage based off of do I have help or do I not have help? Usually offensive players, and then your leverage is usually based off of the call and then the split of the receiver. And you want to play with proper leverage just so you understand what you can initially take away, knowing that when I'm in a leverage, if my skill and that skill of the receiver is equal, like I need to take a leverage to know what to take away. And if they're going to run away from that leverage, then that's the one that you just got to tackle if it's a great throw and catch. Now, if you're a wide receiver, usually if you want to run an inside breaking route and somebody takes inside leverage, you're going to try to push and get them off your leverage, whether that's your speed, whether it's you trying to stick them and get them off of the spot. And those are the things that you need to learn as a DB sometimes, to be patient through your leverage, but aggressive enough that you can defend the route. So it's a couple times, you should be in this leverage. The wideout runs the route and gets you off of your game or off of your leverage in that point. And that's not something that we want to happen. And sometimes, listen, we're putting some guys, especially at safety, some guys in positions that maybe they were doing the other thing for the first 6 months and now they're doing this thing, whatever that all is. So, we're just trying to, in a perfect world, you're repping the things that are going to happen in the game constantly, and you're learning from your mistakes in practice. Sometimes guys get moved around, and you got to put other guys in there. And now the reps are happening. They've taken them, but they haven't taken them maybe at that spot. And you hate to learn through game experience sometimes with some of those bang plays, but sometimes that happens. And you want to learn when the mistake gets made in practice, not when it gets made in the game. But if that answers your question, you're always going to have a leverage, and you got to trust the leverage in order to make the play within that leverage.
All right, Ira has a follow-up.
First, thanks for indulging me on that.
You're welcome, Ira. Thank you for clarifying the question.
The defensive front, it seems like Josh and Janaris have had some more frequent bright spots, and I know, and Josh hasn't come through with the sacks, but it seems like he's affecting the quarterback more. How close is he to being the guy that you guys expect him to be?
He's getting there. I think he'll even admit there's still things that happen to him that he wants his he wants his reaction time to pick up. But as far as just when you have this and it doesn't matter what happens, you go do this. He plays with good pad level, plays fast. I mean, I love everything about Josh. I think at this point, everybody's banged up. He's playing through all those things, but for the first time in his career, he's got to play through some games now. So I think that's helped his development. There were a number of times last week that, we've got pressure and we're just not finishing the play back there, or the ball's out before you get there. Sometimes it's hard. I've had defensive ends come to me and they're frustrated about their statistics because they got hurries and not sacks. And then next thing you know, you look up 3 games later, they got 6. So hopefully that happens for him. And I am happy with his development, the way he's going about his business. J-Rob's been more consistent in the run game. I think he's always been a very good pass rusher. The numbers aren't always there, but he did affect the quarterback. I know he had the 1 sack early, but I think J-Rob's consistency, especially just staying at the one spot, has helped him. It's still an everyday challenge, in the run game to continue to play with the proper pad level for him. But he's welcoming to be coached, both for myself, Coach JP, and Coach Hagens. So I think they've both taken steps this year for different reasons. But I do like their development. I do like the way they're playing right now.
Next will be Aslan Hazabandy from War Chant.
Coach Norvell said that Akeem Dent, I guess, is trending well. He was a game-time decision. I guess same thing with Bernardo. What sort of flexibility do you have if Akeem returns? Is he one of those guys that can line up in the slot maybe and not leave Amari out there and something that's maybe not, in his wheelhouse?
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, you have more than 2 corners ready to play so that you can put some more in there. But obviously, that happens during the course of the year. You get nicked up. You got to put other guys out there. So we'll see where Akeem is here as we progress through the week. It'd be great to get him back, and we got to see how that works.
Next will be Perry from Tomahawk Nation.
Coach, you said a few weeks ago that this season is a book, and so now I'm not going to get as abstract as Ira because I don't have as big of a brain, but what chapter do you think we are this season? Like, where do you think this narrative is going, and just overall, where do you see that metaphor right now?
Yeah, well, when I meant that, I meant just each week is a chapter, and you're trying to, build off it as it comes. We've had a lot of characters in this book. We've had a lot of people involved in it. And I think as a coach and as the defensive coordinator here at Florida State, you're trying to make sure that every moment is an improvement or a learning moment. And we've had more pain than success right now, but we're trying to make sure we don't lose. First of all, grateful for the opportunity, and make sure the players understand that, listen, I know the record isn't where we want it, but unbelievably grateful for the opportunity to coach you guys and to do this together. but we're trying to get more consistent results, and we're just trying to make sure that whether it's whether it's third down, whether it's a man coverage technique, whether it's a leverage on the passer, whether it's coming up on a scramble, you're just trying to put together these lessons to make sure that we don't repeat these mistakes. So, I mean, when I meant that, it was just each week is a different chapter, and you're just trying to make sure that you're developing the story as it goes on in a way that you're able to learn through it. And some of that learning's been, playing multiple positions. Some of it's been playing multiple combination of people. So we're it's constant, and we're still working through it. I'm doing the best we can to make sure that we grow from it.
We'll go back to Ira.
Two questions. So Derek doesn't have to say my name again. One is
Ira, that was good. They said you had a very large brain or whatever that comment was. So congrats.
It's just the skull that's big. The brain is. The Josh Griffiths' availability, we haven't seen him much lately. And then also with an offense like Clemson's where they've got so many different ways to attack, how difficult does that make in terms of game planning when it's not like you can take away their bread and butter, this one thing? It doesn't seem like.
Yeah. Josh has been banged up. We're trying to get him back. He's working his butt off to be back. And there's he was a true freshman that played a good amount of snaps early in the year. And then, he just gets banged up. And the year, it's a long year for these guys that are true freshmen that come in and play and work through it. But, Josh is a good player, and Josh is somebody that we're counting on getting better and being a positive contributor to this program here as we move forward. The one thing about Clemson, they're good at a lot of things is they got good players at every level. Whether you say O-line, obviously the quarterback, the tailback, the wideouts, they got good tight ends. So, it's an offense because if you lean something one way or the other, there's another thing that can kind of break you going the other way. So, listen, they've been together for a long time. That quarterback's been in that system. The coach has been there for a long time, and they've played at a really high level, and they've got talent all around them. We saw what the backup quarterback can do the last 2 weeks. So, it's a good program, and from offense, defense to special teams, they play off of each other. They've been successful with all three sides of the ball. And they've got good players, they've got good coaches, consistency within that program, and they've done a great job. It'll be an unbelievable challenge.
All right, last one will be Aslan.
I guess this kind of goes back maybe to Ira's question earlier, but just in terms of your guys' play calls on defense, is it a pretty all-inclusive play call, or is there sort of like shades of gray where, I don't know, in a certain, call, the safety's got to line 15 yards off the ball no matter what, but do they need to have like the situational awareness to realize it's first and goal from the 8 and to not be maybe so far back? Is there that sort of cohesive understanding of play call and that's what it is, or do instincts and sort of things need to come into play and quick adjustments by the player themselves?
Yeah, there's always quick adjustments that need to be done on the fly. That's because there's a lot of good athletes moving around in space, but we try to be really specific in our language before each play, especially on third downs in the red zone, when we want to play tight, when we want to play off, and sometimes, you do it and, just like, you explain it in the call, you put it in the call, and then sometimes in the moment, guys freeze. And that happens sometimes, but no, there's very much in the red zone, third downs, first down, second and longs, whether it's within the play call or calls or signals being put in before the call that let them know the situation so they know the tools they can use within the down. I think that is something that we think is very important, and we continue to emphasize it.